Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Hello Dave with Outwith Astronomy. Let's talk about what's been going on in Elite last week. First of all, Thursday last week, we got the second real patch for Elite Dangerous Odyssey. This included a number of bug fixes, some optimizations. There's been added some new features, which I actually think is pretty nice. We got key bindings for selecting grenades and med packs and the little power packs, those kind of things, so you can now go in and you can set dedicated key bindings to each thing, so you don't have to sit and use the little scroll wheel, which I think is great. I think it's nice to have. It's a thing that definitely improves the gameplay if you bound these. There's already plenty of things to swap between if you go what I have like for tools and for the different weapons and now also different consumables. But I guess that is Elite in a nutshell, isn't it? Just too many key bindings. They did also do both optimizations. They did some changes to some of the rendering and they also did some server-side optimizations. And it has definitely improved the game for some people. I've seen people report anywhere from like 10, 15, 20 FPS increases after that patch, so they definitely did something. Personally, I didn't really see any significant difference. There might have been 1-2 FPS here and there, but nothing major to be honest. But it's nice to see that at least some people are now able to play, and I know that at least it was some of the people who previously it would be such a stuttery mess that they couldn't play at all, are now able to actually go in and play Odyssey with some respectable frame rate. They also listed a very long list of other stuff they fixed. Some of them I didn't even know was a bug, but apparently some of them has been fixed. So I think overall, positive update there. Nice to see that improvements are getting better and some extra key bindings is also nice. The next thing Frontier is doing right now is they are running a focused feedback thread on the outfitting UI. It's been very heavily critiqued, the outfitting UI. It's confusing and people don't like it in general. So what Frontier has done is they created these focused feedback threads where you can go over to the forum, you can post your suggestions or your comments to it, and they're gonna take all that and they're gonna condense that into to something that you can actually work with, and then send that off to the developers to get it changed. They've done these focused feedbacks in the past, and they seem to be working quite well. I think it's a good way to get feedback from the community. So nice to see these return now, and I hope we're going to see a lot more focused feedback threads. Of course, I will be posting links for everything in the description in case you are interested. And then, of course, Friday last week, we got the long-awaited roadmap for Odyssey. Well, it's roadmap in quotation marks. I assume most of you have read it already. It's basically, they say over the next 3 weeks, they're going to be posting one patch every week, and they're going to include many improvements and fixes, which is out of the 10 bullet points they have, those are 3 of them. One each week, they just have many improvements and fixes. Other than that, they do also list a few number of changes they are going to make, where we later this week, we're going to get loadout UI flow changes, and we're going to be adding arcs for on-foot gameplay, so we can now earn arcs for on-foot gameplay. Didn't know we didn't include that already, but okay, fair enough. Nice, that's coming in. Next week, we are then getting the suit livery UI flow changes, so they're changing the UI around the suit livery, as well as codex entries for on foot. Again, this, especially the codex one, is something I've really been missing, especially when it comes to figuring out your different thresholds for unlocking engineers. That would be really nice to go in to see those stats in there. So that's nice to see as well coming in. And in week 5, we have shared missions, we have galaxy and system map UI updates, as well as ship outfitting UI updates. So as you can see, the majority of this is pretty much just UI updates and bug fixes. That is all they're doing right now. There is a few other things with the codex and the shared mission. Shared missions, by the way, that's going to be interesting how that's going to work, but come back to that later, I guess, when we get our hands on that. But that's the roadmap. They don't mention any specific bugs they're going to fix, and they just mention the new additions. And I've been thinking a lot about it, and I think the community team was really handed an impossible task when it comes to this roadmap. Now, the problem is, the way I see it, is one of the hardest things to do in software development is to scope how much time you are going to need to fix a bug. Because you may not know what the bug is caused by. It could be something as simple as a misplaced comma, or it could require 200-300 lines of code being completely rewritten from scratch. You don't know that before you dive into it. If it's just a comma, you might be able to do it in an afternoon. If it's a complete rewrite of something that's like fundamentally broken, well, it's gonna take a little bit longer. What Frontier really needs with this roadmap, and it's clear to me that they know this as well, is they need to have something that they can be absolutely 100% certain that they're going to be able to deliver. They really don't need a situation where they post a roadmap and then later has to pull things back, getting things delayed, because they're already in hot enough waters as things are right now. And this is why I think what we see in the roadmap is just many improvements and bug fixes reappearing every week, because they are going to do bug fixes, but they can't tell what bug fixes because it is extremely difficult to scope. I know other companies have done it in the past, but there will always be a level of uncertainty when you do a roadmap for when you're going to fix bugs, because before you really dive into them, you don't really know how much time you're going to spend in order to fix it. And because Frontier has added specific dates to the roadmap, they can't go out and give you specifics on what bugs they're going to fix, even though I'm pretty sure that was actually what people really wanted to know. People wanted to know, when is all the bugs going to be ironed out? When is the performance going to be good? Now, they do come in and talk about the performance later down in the post. It's not part of the main roadmap, but it's more of a what happens after update 5, which we're going to get at the end of June. What they said is they will be now focusing on performance, and they will be focusing on getting Odyssey ready for the console release. So I don't think we should expect to see huge performance updates for Odyssey before the console launch. And all this, to me, just adds to the whole, this is just a weird beta test that's running on the live server and where there's no reset at the end. As I see it, as my mindset with Odyssey right now, it's a beta test. It's not released, it's not finished. And I think Frontier should just have acknowledged that when they launched it, say, guys, it's not ready, we can give you a beta test, and then run it on a parallel server as they always do with a beta test. But they were hellbound on getting it out early, so they did, and that is what put them in the situation they're in right now. Now, to me, the most interesting post of this whole roadmap post was actually towards the end, when they replied to some of the critique they have received regarding their communication, or, well, the lack thereof. And what they say they will do is they will start beginning doing monthly community updates where they will highlight the progress that development teams have been making over that month. I don't know which format this is going to be, if it's going to be in the form of a forum post, if it's going to be in format of something they share on a live stream, or how that is going to work. But they're going to be making like a summary every month where they say, what have we been doing the last month? What have we been working on? I hope to God that what they're going to be doing here is not just some PR whatever, look, here's some pretty looking screenshots of things we've been working on. I hope that they are going to be opening up a little bit more, allowing us to get a peek into the engine room and look at stuff that is not necessarily finished, or at least looks like it finished, because that's been what they've been doing so far. Now, I know I'm a hopeless optimistic. I've been hoping for these kind of things for years. It never happens. But I think this is what we as a community need right now. We need to be able to see what they're working on. And I know Frontier is all very closed and tight with all the things they do, and they don't show anything before it is pretty much as close to done as possible. But I think in order to regain some of the lost trust from the community, they need to play with an open hand. They need to show what they're working on. They need to show both their successes, but they also need to show that, hey guys, we've been spending time on this. It doesn't really work as well as we hoped, but hey, what do you guys think? And I think if they come out and present it as being a non-finished, in development thing, it will be a lot more positively received, and especially if they open it up with a request for feedback, so people can say, hey, we've been working on this, what do you think? Something as simple as the UI would have been something that would have been a prime candidate for something like this. If they have gone out before the alpha test and say, hey, we've been working with the UI, this is what it looks like right now, what do you guys think? Here's the outfitting UI, here's the galaxy map UI. And people would have got the feedback early, and then they would have gone back, and now they don't have to go back and retro fix it afterwards. They would have gotten that way earlier. I hope that's what we're going to see. I don't know which format it's going to be, but we'll have to wait and see about that. Now, the next topic here is a little more worrying, I think, and that is the effect that this broken Odyssey launch have had on the community as a whole. We're beginning to see some of the well-established, very dedicated groups within Elite slowly, I'm not sure I would say shutting down, but at least taking a break from it all. We have Distant World 3, which has been delayed until further notice so far, so that means there's not going to be any Distant World 3 expedition. That's the large portion of the exploration community that just said, yeah, you know what? We're just going to wait. We don't want to do anything right now because, well, everything is broken. And I can't blame them, to be honest. We have the same thing with Project Eider. If you're not familiar with Project Eider, it's the guys who have been doing the station repairs. So those are the guys who took upon themselves to repair the stations after they've been attacked by Thargoids. That's a lot of space trucking, and it's a very, very dedicated group that spends a ton of times ferrying thousands and thousands of tons of material into burning stations in order to get them back to operational status. They have also decided to take a break and not repair stations for a while. I hope they're going to be coming back at some point, but for now at least, they're also taking a break. And these are just two of the groups, and I'm expecting that we over the next weeks, months, is going to see more and more larger groups either beginning to be less active, shrink in numbers, or outright just close shop and say, I think that's it, we're done with Elite. And that's a huge shame, and that is really what is going to hurt the Elite Dangerous community in the long run. I just hope that when we get out eventually on the other side of all this, when Odyssey is hopefully going to be nice, polished, performing well, we got console players on board as well, and the inevitable box that's going to come with the console launch as well has been ironed out as well, that there's actually still a community left to play the game. Finally, I just want to talk about the live stream tomorrow, where I will be going back at the engineering grind, getting some of those new engineers unlocked. I have made some progress off camera, so we're not going to be stuck in the same loop that I have for the last couple of weeks. We're actually going to hopefully make some progress this time. And that's going to be happening tomorrow at 7 o'clock in-game time. Live stream both here on YouTube as well as on Twitch. I hope I'll see a lot of you guys there. Thanks a lot for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in space.